If someone asked me what I regret the most at the age of 80, I would say it was the day I willingly handed over control of my life to someone else. I used to believe that a nursing home was the best place for old age, a place where you are cared for, meals are served, and there is nothing to worry about. Sounds perfect, right? But just a few months later, I realized nothing hurts more than being alive and feeling like you are slowly disappearing. It was not because the food was bad. It was not because the room was small. It was because, with every passing day, I felt a part of myself being taken away. My freedom, my dignity, and the little habits that used to make me happy. Every morning, I woke up to someone else's call. Every meal, I was told to choose from what was already prepared. And every night, I went to bed when the lights went out. Not because I wanted to, but because it was the rule. Old age itself is not scary. What is truly frightening is when you are still breathing, still aware, but no longer living life on your own terms. If you or your loved ones are thinking about moving into a nursing home, I hope you will listen to my story. Because there are some things you can only understand once you have lived through them, the real cost of convenience. Today, I want to share with you the 7 biggest regrets of my life. Things I wish someone had told me before it was too late. Stay until the end of this video, because one of these regrets might make you rethink how you are living and remind you to cherish the freedom you still have today. The first regret: losing freedom. When I was still at home, I loved waking up early. I would make myself a cup of coffee, open the window, and let the morning sunlight filter through the leaves. It was a small moment, but it made me feel alive. Then one day, I moved into a nursing home. I could no longer decide when to wake up or when to go to sleep. Every morning, at exactly 7 o'clock, someone would knock on the door and say, "It's time for breakfast, sir." I would force a smile and nod, but deep inside, something felt empty, as if I were living someone else's life. Everything there followed a schedule: mealtime, bath time, rest time. Even the few times I was allowed to go outside, I had to be accompanied. I understood they meant well. They were afraid I might fall or forget my way home. But what they did not understand is, sometimes old people are not afraid of falling. They are afraid of being held back. I missed the feeling of walking slowly around the neighborhood. I missed the greetings from my neighbors and the smell of fresh bread drifting from a small kitchen. At the nursing home, I had my own room, a soft bed, and someone to clean up after me. But nothing could replace the feeling of freedom, the ability to decide the rhythm of my own life. I once thought moving in was just a change of address, but in truth, it was the day I gave up my right to choose. If you are taking care of your parents or considering a nursing home, please remember this: not everyone needs to be protected all the time. Sometimes, what they really need is simply the space to still be themselves. Regret number 2: losing connection with family. On my first day at the nursing home, I brought a few photos with me, pictures of my son, my daughter, and my little grandchildren. I taped them on the wall, right beside my bed, so that every morning when I woke up, I could see the faces of the people I loved most. I told myself, it is fine. This is just temporary. The kids will come visit often. But as the weeks went by, those visits became less frequent, and then they slowly faded away. At first, they came every weekend, then every 2 weeks, then once a month. And eventually, no one came at all. I do not blame my children. I know they are busy, they have jobs, kids of their own, and their own lives to manage. But what they do not understand is that here, every single day feels longer than any stretch of time out there. I do not need gifts. I do not need money. I just need to hear their laughter, to feel a long, warm hug, or simply a short phone call to ask how I am doing. In the nursing home, everyone is the same clothes, the same meals, the same daily routine. We share old stories to fill the silence inside us. But deep down, each of us carries a quiet space in our hearts, a space filled with the faces of those we miss dearly. Some nights I sit quietly by the window. The glow of passing car lights on the street outside feels like memories flashing through my mind. I remember family dinners, the sound of kids running around the table, even the way my wife used to complain when I forgot to turn off the living room light. Now, all of that lives only in my memories. There is nothing colder than the feeling of still having family, but no longer being part of their lives. So if you are watching this video, whoever you are, call your parents today. A short phone call may not change the world, but for someone sitting alone in a quiet nursing home room, it might be the one light that reminds them they are still loved. Regret number 3, no longer living in my own home. People often say, home is where you return. But the moment I stepped out of the house I had lived in for over 40 years, I knew there would never be a return quite like before. The house was small, but every corner held a memory. The old wooden door that creaked in a familiar way, the rattan chair on the porch where I used to sip my morning coffee, and the wall with pencil marks showing how tall the kids grew year after year. It was like a slow-motion movie playing only in my mind now. I remember what it felt like to be the owner of my own space, to open the windows to hear the birds or close them to keep out the cold wind, to have breakfast whenever I wanted without anyone telling me what to do. Home was where I could live at my own rhythm, not by someone else's schedule. But in the nursing home, no matter how clean and tidy the room is, no matter how kind and caring the staff are, everything still feels foreign. That room does not have my soul in it. I am just a guest, living within 4 walls painted the same color, with curtains identical to the room next door. No one tells you that leaving your familiar home feels like stepping out of a piece of your own identity. Because home is not just bricks, tiles, and a roof. Home is breath, time, and memories woven together over the years. It is where you once laughed, once cried, and once sat quietly listening to the rain outside the porch. Some nights, I dream of going back to that old house. I open the door, sunlight pours in, and the dust dances in the air. I hear someone calling my name, my wife's voice, soft as a breeze. I smile, step forward, then wake up suddenly, staring at a white ceiling and the sound of footsteps fading down the hallway. In the nursing home, people often joke, we live in a long-term hotel. But to me, no hotel is luxurious enough to replace the feeling of being in the one place that truly belongs to you. If you are still healthy, if you are still living in your own home, cherish it. Treasure every morning when sunlight passes through your window. And do not wait until you have to leave to realize that home is the most precious thing you will ever have in this life. Regret number 4, rapid decline in health after stopping movement. When I first moved into the nursing home, I was still in good shape. I could walk around the garden every morning, sometimes help other residents grab things, or chat with the staff. I still believed, just because I am old doesn't mean I have to slow down. I truly believed that until my own legs betrayed me. At first, I just skipped 1 walk, then 2. It rained, and I did not feel like going outside. The next day, I felt a bit tired, so I rested again. And just like that, the habit disappeared without me noticing. Then one day, I realized I needed to hold onto the wall just to stand up. A few months later, I needed a walker, and soon enough, the wheelchair became my reluctant companion. When you stop moving, your body begins to fade silently. Muscles weaken, breathing becomes shorter, and your spirit grows heavier. People think a nursing home is a place to rest. But in truth, if you are not careful, it can become the place where your body declines faster than ever before. Everything here is convenient. Meals are prepared, laundry is done, rooms are cleaned, baths are assisted. You do not have to lift a finger. But that very ease makes the body forget how to move, and the heart forget what it means to live actively each day. A woman who shared my room once told me, "We don't grow old because of age. We grow old because we stop wanting to stand up." That sentence haunted me for a long time, because I understood if I kept sitting still, I would lose myself. So I started again. Every morning, I forced myself to stand, even if it was just to take a few steps around the room. At first, my legs trembled and ached, but slowly, I felt a bit stronger, a bit more alive. Not because I was getting younger, but because I refused to give up on life too soon. If you're listening to this, I hope you remember this. The human body is like a flame. If you don't feed it, it will burn out. Do not wait until the doctor tells you to start exercising again. Walk today. Move. Step into the sunlight. Let your heart beat a little stronger. Because once you stop moving, not only your body, but also your will to live will slowly fall asleep. Regret number 5, losing privacy and dignity. There is one thing I never truly understood until I had to live in a nursing home. the feeling of being stripped of privacy, and along with it, a part of my dignity. At home, I used to be independent. I could bathe myself, choose my own clothes, cook my own meals, and close the door whenever I needed some quiet. But here, everything is different. You are no longer alone, even when you wish to be. Every morning, my door opens before I am even fully awake. A nurse walks in with their schedule, not mine. They ask if I am ready for a bath, if I have eaten, and sometimes before I can even answer, they begin their routine. I know they are only doing their job, but there are things, like being dressed or helped into the bathroom, that still make me feel deeply embarrassed. Some nights, I wake up to the sound of my roommate coughing, or because a staff member walks in suddenly to check on us without knocking. That is when it hits me. In this place, there is no more private, no more me. I have become part of someone else's schedule, just another name on the daily care list printed every morning. I miss the days when I could bathe in water I prepared myself, choose my favorite outfit, sit by the window reading late into the night without anyone reminding me to sleep. Now, everything has rules: bathing time, sleeping time, eating time, lights out time. And slowly I have learned to behave, to follow along. But deep inside, I feel as though a part of my dignity has faded away. Once I saw another man being lifted from his bed to his wheelchair by the staff. He turned his face away, tears falling unnoticed. I understood that feeling, the feeling of being treated as a body to be cared for, not as a person with pride and a voice. Do not get me wrong. I know they mean no harm. But when you live in a place where everyone is always in a hurry, every act becomes mechanical. People no longer speak to you as Mr. John or Mrs. Mary. They just say, "Patient in room 12 needs assistance." Human dignity is not lost in one moment. It fades, little by little, each time we are forced to depend, each time our voice goes unheard. If you are thinking about placing a loved one or yourself in a nursing home, remember this: privacy and dignity are the most fragile things we have. Once lost, they are incredibly hard to regain. Because sometimes, what the elderly need most is not the best care, but the chance to still feel human, respected, heard, and free to choose. The sixth regret: when you want to leave, you realize it is not as easy as you thought. When I first moved into the nursing home, I kept telling myself that it was only temporary. I would rest for a while, then go back home once I felt better. Sounds reasonable, right? But no one ever told me that once you come here, leaving is not that simple anymore. At first, I was still strong. I believed that just a few months would be enough before I could return home. But as time passed, my house slowly became unfamiliar. My son said, "Dad, the house has been empty for a long time. I'll have someone clean it up a bit." I nodded, thinking it was just temporary. But temporary eventually turned into forever. One by one, the things that once made my home feel alive began to disappear. The wedding photo, the curtain by the window, the old chair where I used to sit and read. The house slowly turned into a memory, no longer a place I could go back to. Then my health began to decline. Here, everything was convenient. There were people who cooked, washed my clothes, and helped me with daily tasks. I did not have to do anything anymore. But because of that, I forgot how to live independently. When I said I wanted to go home, my son looked at me with worried eyes. "Dad, are you sure? There is no one to take care of you there. What if you fall?" And so those caring words slowly turned into soft ropes that gently tied down my freedom. I realized that leaving this place was not just a matter of the body. It was a matter of trust. My family did not believe I was strong enough, and I no longer believed in myself. When trust disappears, you no longer know where home truly is or where you still belong. I have met many others like me. They also once said, "I'm only here for a little while." But as years passed, they no longer had a home to return to. Their savings were gone, their health no longer allowed it, and the nursing home, once a temporary place, quietly became the only world they had left. One afternoon, a lady here told me softly, "People always think they can leave whenever they want. But when everything around you slowly fades away, you realize you have been trapped inside the very safety others created for you." I stayed silent because I knew she was right. If you are thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself this: are you truly ready to trade your freedom for safety? Because once you are inside, leaving is no longer as simple as wanting to go. It becomes a battle between your body, your circumstances, and your heart. The seventh regret, losing connection with the real world. When life outside becomes nothing but a memory. One day I realized I no longer knew what day it was. Had spring already passed? Were the leaves outside turning yellow yet? I could not tell. Here, everything seemed the same. Every morning was the same alarm bell, the same meal, the same medicine, and a few short conversations. My world had shrunk to 4 walls, 1 window, and a handful of familiar faces that no longer felt new. I used to love the small things in life, the sound of children laughing in the alley, the smell of wet grass after the rain, the sunlight filtering through the leaves each morning. I loved taking aimless walks, sitting in a cafe watching people pass by, feeling like I was part of that big, vibrant world. But here, I became just an observer, watching life move on without being able to touch it. The news on TV felt distant, the music no longer spoke to me, and even when flowers bloomed outside, I no longer felt the urge to step out and see them. I was no longer living. I was merely existing. And that, perhaps, is my deepest regret. When I was young, I thought loneliness came only when no one was around. But now I understand. True loneliness is when you are still breathing, yet your soul has already disconnected from the world. Everything still happens, but it no longer reaches your heart. One afternoon, I looked out the window and saw a few children playing soccer in the yard. Their laughter echoed, bright, carefree, full of life. I wanted to shout to them, to say, "Live fully. Don't wait until you are sitting behind this window to realize how much you will miss it." But my throat tightened, so I just sat there, silent, watching the world slowly drift away from me. I regret letting myself live without feeling, letting the final years of my life pass like a muted film. I locked my soul inside a safe little box, forgetting that people need more than just years, they need to truly live. Now I understand this. When we stop connecting with the world, we start losing ourselves. And the greatest regret is not what we did, but what we stopped feeling. Finally, while you still can, live fully. I used to think old age was the most peaceful time in life. No more worries, no more rush. But now, standing near the end of my journey, I realize peace does not come by itself, not if your heart has forgotten how to feel. The 7 regrets I shared are not just my story. They are mirrors reflecting what anyone might face someday. They do not arrive all at once, but slowly, quietly. Each time we stop talking, stop caring, stop connecting with the world around us. People often fear death. But perhaps what is even scarier is being alive without truly feeling anything. No longer feeling joy when hearing your grandchildren laugh. No longer being moved by the sunset at the end of the day. No longer looking forward to waking up tomorrow to do something small, yet meaningful. I do not share these words to make you sad, but to remind you how lucky you are, because you still have time. Time to hug your loved ones, to call an old friend, to walk with your grandchild under the afternoon sun, or simply to open your door, take a deep breath, and smile at life. Do not wait until your hair turns gray to realize that freedom, love, memories, and emotions are gifts that can never be bought back. If today you still have a choice, then choose to live every moment fully. Choose connection. Choose love. Choose to stay close to whatever still makes your heart feel alive. Because in the end, what we truly fear losing is not youth or health, but the very feeling of being alive. If this story made your heart pause for a moment, share it with someone you love. Who knows, maybe even a small video like this can remind them that life still has so much worth cherishing. And do not forget to leave a comment below. Tell me one thing you feel grateful for in your life. Because sometimes just one small message is enough to remind us that we are not truly alone on this journey. Thank you for staying until the end. See you in the next video, where together we will rediscover the true meaning of what it means to live beautifully.